Greetings everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Never an Afterthought show. My name, Afolabi Imoukhuede. I'm the author of the book, Never an Afterthought, and the anchor for this show, the Never an Afterthought. Thank you for having us in your space. It's always a delight and pleasure, and I hope that with each edition that we actually do make impact and you find practical tips to win. Today is Thursday, May 13. May 13 is a special day. For us as a family. Is my sister's birthday, Oluwakemi Imoukhuede, and I want to take the first few seconds of this show to wish her a very happy birthday. Beyond just being my sister, she's my friend, and above all, she's an avid supporter. When I mean avid supporter of this show, every week, never fails, always reposting and encouraging friends and family to join in. So Kemi, it's your birthday today, and I enjoin the whole world to join me today in wishing you a very, very happy birthday. The lines indeed will continue to fall onto you in pleasant places, and trust me, your best days are still ahead of you. God bless you, and do have a blast. It's also Bayo Moboro's birthday today. His birthday made to my sister. So Bayo, my guy, happy birthday.
And yes, just before I forget, let me wish our Muslim faithfuls, my brothers and my sisters, congratulations on the successful end of the Ramadan. Praying that God accept your sacrifice and heal our land, even in these times. Amen.
Good. So today our focus is Africa. And there is a 2018 Africa Agriculture Conference. A clip of it that went viral the last few weeks, and I want us to start today's show with that clip because we're going to be discussing Africa today. So, production team, let me use the production team to show us that short clip.
Okay, so we want to close it at this point, but if you feel you have a very burning issue, just one burning issue.
Yeah, this is a copy by, if you can have the camera, this is done by FOL. If you show this to a young person, a young woman like me, and say go into agriculture, they're going to go into it? Definitely not. I told the World Bank the same thing. If you want to make agriculture attractive, if you want to make it sexy, start by publishing it. Get a young person who's attractive, put them on this picture. I said this in Harare last year to say, can we try to make agriculture sexy? This organization, the UN, the FOA, whoever is involved in the agriculture sector, the advertising, whoever you are, make agriculture sexy. This is the beginning point of making it attractive to the young people.
Right.
If you, the organizers, the frontiers, the people who are supposed to lead us are putting such pictures, what are you sending to a person, a young person from the village? You pick this picture and like, oh, this is what we're living. But if they see a young person here, very attractive like me, and you put me here, even the young men in the village, they'll be like, wow, I want to be like her. I mean, where am I going to find this woman? Let me join agriculture. I mean, this is practical. That's what we need to be talking about. So please, my request is that next time we're going to have such a conference, whatever is coming up, you can look for me on Facebook, Tamara Happy Face Kaunda. Put my picture there and say she's a farmer. And a medical doctor, yeah? Well, most people, they like to see me, oh, don't look at like she's farming, she's a doctor. No, I want to be called a farmer. Right. Because the problem we have in Africa is hunger. We don't need drugs. I work in a hospital, and I can guarantee you 80% of the diseases, why we're losing young people is because of poverty. So why then can't we give them the nutrition they need instead of the drugs? That's my switching from medicine to agriculture. So that's what we should be looking at. Another thing, she's from Singapore, I'm from Zambia. The borrowing rate in Zambia is about 35% to 40%. You can say, yes, I don't have, I don't want to go to the bank or whatever. No, I've tried going there. But why should I to make such a suicidal decision to go and borrow at a 40% rate? It's impossible. I want to go to the government to borrow. They say, no, you need to work for the government for 2 years. But I need the project running. I've got people following me. They need to come to the farm and see what I'm doing. So funding, we're not looking for charity. Like, I was quite offended by the doctor lady who said, no, farming is not a charity. Yes, we're not looking for charity. But if you can give me $10,000 at a rate of maybe 5%, 2%, like the Chinese come, they come with a lower percentage, and they come and invest here and they beat us, I cannot compete with her even if she came to Zambia, because she borrowed maybe from Singapore at a lower rate. But look at me in Zambia, 40%, that's suicide.
Right.
So we can talk and talk and talk, but let's create enabling environment for the African youth. Because we can't have so much vast land, yet we are languishing in poverty. Netherlands cannot export to Africa if they don't feed their own people. Yes, I'm happy the young people are exporting, but why are we leaving our people? Why are they dying? African graves are the richest because we've lost so many young people to poverty and hunger. So we need to really critically look at agriculture as the oxygen for economical in Africa. It should not be a backbone. I can break my backbone today and I can live on. But if I don't have oxygen, I can't live on. So agriculture should be the oxygen of the economy in Africa. Thank you.
What a way to actually powerfully finish this conversation. One, make agriculture sexy in order to attract young people into it. And number two, start seeing agriculture as the oxygen of our economies and not just the backbone of our economies. From our teams right here, we want to say thank you for watching this CNBC Africa special.
That was a very powerful summary by that young African lady. My takeaway points were a few of them. One, make agric sexy in order to be able to attract the youths. Now, incidentally, in the book, the Never an Afterthought book, talked about making TVET sexy. In other words, make the technical vocational education training program sexy to make it attractive for youths. And my auntie, who actually sent this clip to me, she's a retired director of the industrial training for ITF. She actually sent it to me. I said, Afolabi, remember you said this to us in Abuja in ITF in 2015 when you were talking about making skills, making TVET skills sexy. So I think it was that word sexy that caught her attention, and she sent that clip to me. Well, the truth is the truth. We need to do these things. The second point is the reality of hunger, poverty, malnutrition, in the midst of abundant wastage and indeed farmer penury. That is so true. Agric-business is also the oxygen of African economies, not just backbone, like she said, being a doctor, but oxygen. The last point for me are issues around farming land, single-digit finance, infrastructure, enabling environment for infrastructure such as infrastructure for processing, storage, the entire value chain, and even export. These are all issues that remain challenging for an average African farmer. So those 4 points would, in some form or shape, mirror our conversations today. So today we'll be discussing the topic from agric-culture to agric-business, the case for an African youth. From agric-culture to agric-business, the case for an African youth. And we will not be doing this. I won't be doing this alone. I have a guest with me, but also the point to note is that this would also feature over 2 episodes. So in other words, tighten your seatbelt and get ready for a good ride today. Okay. My guest today is a real life story. It's a real life story that was also captured in the book. This is the book, The Never an Afterthought. For those of you who still haven't gotten the book, you can always grab a copy of yours from our website, www.neveranafterthought.com, either through us directly on the website or any of our book partners, Roving Heights Booksellers or Amazon. And if you also want the Kindle version on Amazon as well, you can grab it. Now in chapter 2, as I began introducing the context of the book, I spoke about this young chap who's my guest today. I'll start reading from chapter 2, the later part of chapter 2. It says, the Empire Graduate Program was the first opportunity for some of its beneficiaries to own computer tablets, all preloaded with instructional material and other content relevant for their training development, motivation, and self-management. The devices were also internet ready with a 1-year data bundle. I move on. Simply put, an internet-enabled tablet in the right hand is equivalent to yesterday's set of farm implements, and even more so because it gives access to a tremendous amount of information and affords the proactive entrepreneur the whole world as a potential marketplace. To prove this, there is a real-life example that combines aspects of technology, entrepreneurship, and agriculture by way of Agric-Business. More than that, this example shows how synergy happens between the various programs within the National Social Investment Program. Orioye Benedict Gbayisemore Orioye graduated with a BSc in Physics Education from the NAA College of Education in Ondo State, but for over 5 years, he could not secure a job. To survive, he had to return to his village in Ilaje local government area of Ondo State to join local fishermen to fish. When he initially heard about empire, he dismissed it because he thought it could not be real. He also did not have connections in government, which sometimes made the difference between failure and success, even in cases where such programs were real. Despite his doubts, Benedict asked a friend to get him registered and was surprised when he got enrolled even without knowing anyone in government or speaking to anyone. Benedict is a smart young man who only needed the correct motivation. When he got his tablet and started reading the content on making entrepreneurs out of the beneficiaries, he had an idea. The summary of this delightful story is that Benedict established a business, which he funded with his monthly stipend, and is now engaged in what he describes as value addition crayfish business. Benedict, the jobless and disillusioned graduate, is now an employer of labor. Furthermore, when the Vice President, His Excellency, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, SAN, anchored an MSME clinic in Ondo State, Benedict was able to register his business with the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, using another initiative of the government which subsidized business registration by more than 80%. Instead of 75,000 naira for the registration, Benedict registered his company for just 5,000 naira. Benedict is presently an aggregator for the federal government-sponsored homegrown school feeding program and much more. So that's my guest today. But before I bring him on set, I will take this short break. Thank you.
Yes, this is Ugbonla community, the city of Zion. This is the landing site of all the ferry that we have in Ilaje. This is one of the landing sites, but apparently this happens to be one of the largest landing sites. This is a place where all the fish produce from the main high sea. This is where they bat them, and this is where they offload. And this is the only point whereby you bat and you take a vehicle. You can navigate the land. So from here you can actually navigate 80% of the riverine community in Ilaje. Well, this is Ajemitale community, Odonla, my own community where I hail from. This is where I do my fishing, business, processing, and every other thing that pertains to the village, to my business. And here in this community, majorly what we do here is fishing and other petty trade. My name is Orioye Benedict Gbayisemore Orioye. I am born into the royal family of Gbayisemore Orioye, and my father is the current Aru of Ugboland. My parents are educated, but they are also fishermen, fish businesspreneur, my mom, and I started this fishing at a very tender age of 5 with my dad. And since it's a family business, joint business, once my dad is back from the sea, my mom will offtake the fish and smoke. Incidentally, my mom is a fishmonger. She sells fish as part of her side hustle because she is also educated. She is a teacher. And I know myself as somebody who is helping my dad to fish and at the same time helping my mom to take the fish to the market to sell. In Rivers State then, around in the 90s, in the early 90s, we relocated back from Rivers State in search for better education for us according to my parents. And that was when I went to my primary school at Ebenezer UNA Primary School, Kutukupa, between 1993 to 1999. I gained admission into secondary school, Stella Maris College, Okitipupa, between 1999 to year 2005. And 2007, I gained admission into the university, Obafemi Awolowo University at the College of Education campus to study physics education. I just started my master's program in business entrepreneurship and executive education in the University of Ibadan. I am happily married with kids, and I'm the CEO of First Morris Services Limited and First Morris Food Venture, which is the outstanding MSME winner of the year 2020 of the Federal Government of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria program Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise of the Office of the Vice President.
Greetings again. If you're just joining us, welcome to another exciting episode of our show, The Never and Afterthought. Before we go too far, don't forget that hashtag that makes it our show, which is the hashtag Never and Afterthought, by which you join and continue these conversations across all our social media channels, Twitter at NAA_book, Facebook and Instagram at NA Afterthought. You know I always love to read from you, so you can always drop me a note, podcast at neverandafterthought.com. And last but not the least, we'll read the comments on the platform wherein you're watching or listening to me. So yes, so just before the break, I'd spoken about our topic. Our topic today that we're discussing is from Agric-Culture to Agric-Business. The case of an African youth taking us to Kigali, a short clip of an African conference in 2018 that happened in Kigali, Rwanda. And we're also taking you to Ondo State, the Ilaje community in Ondo State, as I'd read you as I'd also read a short story of my guest today on the show. So my guest that I bring in now is Benedict Orioye Gbayisemore Orioye. How you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
Okay.
Let me first and foremost wish our Auntie Kemi
yes, sir.
a happy birthday, because it is a special session in the Never and Afterthought show. And of course, this is one of the shows that I've actually craved for, that I will be with my big boss, like I used to refer to. Because is the mentor of thousands of mentees, both those that are physical and those that are surfing the internet.
Wow.
Of course, our listeners and our viewers at home, my name is Benedict Orioye, Benedict Gbayisemore Orioye. I'm from Ilaje local government area, like the author of the Never an Afterthought has quietly read from chapter 2 of the book Never an Afterthought, page 23 precisely. One of the things that actually interests me most in the book of the Never an Afterthought was my story actually came even before the story of the author of the book, the father of the author of the book.
I know, right?
So I was like, why me? So it shows that grace still actually found me.
Wow, good.
And
Well
that was
done.
why I will still continue to say it is from village to villa.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, I never knew that, so I'm glad you picked that. That's true.
Because I read the book even from the back to the last page. So I know virtually everything, the content, which has actually made me to tag the book, the manual book for this our generation. The book, the integrity manual book for this generation.
Wow.
Because it's embedded with so much life training, life teaching, starting from home, starting from the family, which actually made the family, it reaffirmed my belief that the family is actually the micro, how do I put it, of the whole society.
Yep.
If you see a well brought up society and somebody is driving that society, go and trace the background. And one of the best way you can trace such background is for you to go to the Never an Afterthought.
Thanks, Benedict. You're obviously a salesman. So I'm sure I'm going to get you to drive sales, to drive the sales of the book. So our viewers, you've heard from Benedict now. You've heard from him, from the horse's mouth, right? So I hope that our sales will bump up this week.
Of course, it's
so the book team, they are watching. But thanks for those great word of compliment. So yes, our production team, they were with you, a few days ago, and took a little bit of what we call a real life documentary of who you are. And I know that as the show progresses, we're going to be showing a little more of it. It's almost like a reality TV, so to speak. But then I want you to still introduce yourself to our viewers. The print will always limit one, right? So I try to summarize very, very short in the book. But now that you have the floor, so introduce yourself to our viewers here.
I am Orioye Benedict Gbayisemore Orioye. My story is just a story of somebody from grass to grace. Of course, I graduated from the university 2011 to be precise. After searching for job for about 5 years, I had to retire back to the village because I started fishing with my father at a very tender age of 5. And that is the inborn skill. That is the culture. If you know about the Ilaje, what we are known with, the Ilajes, is we are into fishing business. And that is why virtually when you go to the Niger Delta coastline, wherever you see water, just look at it, you will see an Ilaje man around there. So that is our inborn skill. That is what we do for living. And hardly will you see any Ilaje man, no matter the position they are in the world, they have the background of fishing. And of course, when I started looking at it, that this is not how I should be living my life, I have an inborn skill. I had to retire back to the village, like the authors rightly said. And the first thing I met was a resistance from my friends that, Benedict, you are back. We thought you said when you go to school, you are going to be bigger than us. Now that you are back. But inside me, I know what I have in mind because my education has actually separated me from them. But they were unable to see that. But I was able to see this. And I tap into that gap. So fortunately for me, it was at the time when the tablet device was handed over to us. It was preloaded with so many content, entrepreneurship content, concepts, so many things. I sat down, I started surfing the the tablet device, I was looking at it. Now, one of the challenges that I discovered was that we have a whole lot of challenge in my community, Ilaje, which is pre-harvest lost, post-harvest lost. That is one. And I look at it that what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is a dynamic concept of change that talks about creativity and innovation. Now, what do I do? As an approved solution provider, I now look at it, before you can make money, you need to create value.
Let me pause you for a second. And the reason I want to pause you is because you've actually begun to go into the topic. Our viewers may wonder, when I said the topic is about from agriculture to agric-business, what do we really mean? And what I mean is what is about to just start discussing. And that's the fact that when agric remains as a culture, you are the subsistence level of farming, which basically you are farming for yourself, for your family, for your children to eat, and maybe whatever is left, you just give as a trade by barter kind of thing. So you are not really farming for business. But when you now want to make agric, like we saw in the earlier clip, if agriculture or agric-business, I would want to say for the remainder of this show, if agric-business is really going to be the oxygen, if we do agree that agric-business is the oxygen for African economies, then it cannot remain at the cultural level. You know, it has to move beyond the culture. And that's what you were talking about. How Ilaje, it's your culture to fish. So fish and water and the Ilajes is cultural for you. And you started fishing from the age of 5. But here you are, you have now gone to school, 5 years in from going to school, no job, almost worse off than before you even went to school. And they started, you know, your neighbor started, harassing you like, guy, what's going on? Okay, so continue your story, but I just wanted to lay that background.
Yes, thank you. So I didn't let it get to me that I'm a graduate of physics, a lucrative course as such. I looked at it that, no, I can't continue like this. Of course, I'm from a royal family in Ilaje. I'm a prince.
So sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Prince Gbayisemore.
Let's play that.
Go ahead.
So I didn't let that to get on my head that, no, I can't continue like this because I have to do something different. And over time, I've always been looking at what can I do differently in the whole of the Ilaje community. So because I actually want to write my own name in gold. So I picked it up. I went back to the village. My friends were like, you're back, whatever. Of course, the first thing I did was to do a kind of sensitization that I'm back. After all, we are not fighting before. Some of my friends getting back to the village, they are now having 2-3 wives. That one is also cultural because Ilaje, we are amphibious in nature and we are polygamous in nature. I discovered that so many of them. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So, but the first thing was that during the peak period in the fishing, fishing activities, during the peak period, we get enough from the high sea, from the coast.
True.
Incidentally, because of post-harvest laws, we tend to lose so many things that we capture from the high sea, which is not really good for me because of my education background. That we are wasting a lot of resources. We are wasting a lot.
So when you say you waste, what happens? Is it that you harvest, they die, you don't have...
when we harvest more than we can preserve, more than we can process, the next thing, once they are going bad, you don't have option than to discard them and dispose them.
So are you saying that you're also eating? This is even after you have eaten?
That is also when we have eaten. We have even eaten more than we can contain.
Wow.
We have preserved more than we can contain. The next thing is for waste. Like everybody that, okay, at this point, we don't have anything to do than to, at that point, we dispose them and, they discover that environmental pollution comes in, whatever, the whole community will be messy and the likes. So, when I got the Empire tablet device, I saw this, I looked at it, that, okay, I can create value with these products. I can create wealth. This is wealth around us. Let me do something differently. That was when I started packaging the crayfish
and I started hawking as a graduate. After my engagement during the working days from Monday to Friday, on Friday I'll go back to the city. I started hawking from one office to the other. I was so executive in the business. That was one of the things I actually picked from the video that went viral last week. Beyond making agriculture sexy, we have to make it executive. Hardly, I enjoy people calling me a fisherman now than calling me a graduate, because that is my identity.
So, from your story now, you believe and strongly believe as well that education is what actually helped or is what separated you from your siblings, let me call it that way, from your siblings.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Because I was saying things differently.
So what were you, you were saying things, but what did you really find in that? You were beginning to talk about the materials you found, right? And talking about creating value. What exactly did you find that now enabled you to start the business that you are doing and continue this business that you're doing?
Yes, one of the things that I actually found was that in the first place, we have to move from subsistence level of agriculture to commercial. We have to take this thing out of culture to business, because the word agric itself and culture, these are things we do culturally, but the business aspect of it, we have neglected it over years. I found this from the tablet device through the entrepreneurship concept and content in the tablet device. So I was doing it passionately, and there's no.
So again, sorry, I want us to be very granular, because that's the point why you're on the show.
Yes.
If we read about it in the book, if someone tells your story, but I want you to be very granular. So basically, so you talked about post-harvest loss, right? So basically, what kind of fish, for the benefit of our audience, what kind of fish do you actually
capture?
Yeah.
You see, the kind of fish we capture from the sea, it's numerous.
Okay.
There are some, they don't have nomenclature. But I can make mention of, let me say, China nose, red snapper, barracuda, sole, titus, tuna fish, crab, crayfish, so many creatures on the high sea. But I focused mainly on the crayfish.
Okay. Why? So now, so before the why, what then? So when you all go and you capture this different variety of fish, right? Yes. What do you then do? Do you guys sort? Do you separate?
Yes. So what we do is that is our standard operating procedure, like I used to call it. One of the things I discovered was that the process of sorting and making the fish or the crayfish edible starts right from the sea. So in the past, certain things are being wrong. Certain things are done in a wrong way. But because of the level of education of the people that I met at the village, starting to bring in new ideas, it looks as if, is this why you are here? So they will resist you with everything. So one of the things that I did was to do some sensitization. When the fishing activities is going to start, you have to go with some hydrocarbons like the petrol, the diesel, and the engine oil. We try to encourage them that they make sure that the petrol, the diesel does not mix with the water on the canoe. Because once it's mixed, and once you capture the fish from the high sea and it's mixed with those chemicals, it contaminates the product, the end product. That's why you discover that you take some fish in the market, they are poisonous, they are tasteless, they are not really good.
So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back right after the break.
I started my fishing at a very tender age with my dad in River State, like I said. And also, I have had the experience. It was during the process of learning the fishing business from my dad that I learned the identification of fish the different species of fish and the different school of fish and how the school of fish they move in the water, and also the different sizes of net that is meant for different kind of fishes. Like we have in these fishing gills now, we have this fishing net, and I was able to know that this particular fishing net is meant for this particular fish, and at a particular time of the year, particular season of the year, this school of fish are the one that will be on the sea, and this is a particular inch of net that you need to do to capture this kind of fish, and this is a particular nautical mile that you can sail on the high sea for you to get this particular school of fish. So I learned all this skill from my dad.
So the process starts from the high sea. Once we capture, the first thing we do sorting. So by the time we bat, the women, they pick it up from us, they clean it up, they do sorting, they sort those that are big, those that are not big, especially the crayfish. From there, you see the prawns, because the larger crayfish, from the larger crayfish, the pool of crayfish, that is where you see the prawns, the shrimps, and the crayfish itself. The crayfish is the product that we're actually looking for. So now, once you sort, we smoke dry using our smoking cane, our local smoking cane. We smoke dry using the local mesh. So in that process, the duration for smoking a crayfish is just about 4 to 5 hours. You have a standard crayfish. So when we now bring it here, the first thing we do, we re-dry, so that the moisture content, there is a particular moisture content we are looking at. You have to dry to certain specification so that the nutrient content, you won't over dry it and you over dry the proteinous content in the crayfish. And also, once we do that, the next thing we do, we remove the shaft, we clean it up, and that is one of our trade secret as well. While fishing on the high sea, we set out for fishing anything from 2 a.m. in the night. So from that process of 2 a.m., maybe your first catch is between 3 a.m. to 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. Maybe because you didn't get enough, you have to stay for another 5 hours. Like in the process of the seafood, one, we need to take a sample of whatever we bring from the high sea, bringing the sea close to the people. We have to take a sample of our product to the lab, to the Federal University of Technology for proximate analysis, and they have been helpful. They have been assisting us in knowing that, okay, this product is good for consumption and the like. And that was why we're so keen in knowing what is actually coming, because when there is time for recalling, if there are challenges, if there are complaints, recalling back our complaints, we know how to trace where the fault comes from. People you are seeing here, they are graduates of one university or the other, and we also have a core member here. So what we do mainly is that we train them on how to process the crayfish, how to remove the shaft from the crayfish, how to make it clean. So in the process of making it clean, we also teach them how to know those that are bad, how to sort it out. So like what they are doing now, they are doing sorting out those that are bad, removing the shaft from the crayfish. And after doing this, we take them in, we ask them to process it, to package it.
Greetings, guys. Welcome back to our show. It's been some exciting 30-35 minutes with Gbayisemore Orioye, and we're just going to jump right in because time is just always never a friend. But like, as I always say, you must manage yourself within time. You can't stop time, you can't control time, but you must manage yourself within time. So don't forget our hashtag and social media channels: Twitter at NAA_book, Facebook and Instagram at NA Afterthought. The email is there, podcast@neverandafterthought.com, to drop me a note at any time. And obviously, we always glean your comments that you leave us on the platform wherein you're listening or watching me. So we started talking, and you said you chose to focus on crayfish, and I'm wondering why crayfish. Wow, point and kill. Everybody, yes, tomorrow is Friday. We're all going to go and wind down, and that's why we can't wait for COVID to end. But point and kill, the sea catfish. Why not that? Why not croaker, which I love? I eat croaker a lot, especially when it's grilled. Why not Titus, which is another fish, another species that I like? Why the crayfish?
Yes, you see, creativity has something we call the four-dimensional piece. The word creativity itself has what they call the four-dimensional piece. Permit me to speak as a professional entrepreneur this time around. Because,
go ahead.
You see,
you've ended.
Yes, you see, when we are talking about creativity, we have 5 P's. Though my prof would tell me it is 4P, but I said it is 5. We have the product, the process, the press, which is the environment, and finally the people. But me, I now added mine to be the price. Because one, the product itself is widely accepted.
So which product now? Your
The
crayfish.
crayfish.
Okay, so you are telling us now why you pick the crayfish over the other fish that we like.
It's widely accepted. And this is one of the products that makes 80% of the dairy product for children. And also, the crayfish, it's also a brand that one of the reasons why people do run away from taking the crayfish is because of the challenge in processing the crayfish. So as an entrepreneur, that challenge is where I focus on. That makes me an approved solution provider. I want to provide solution. I want to face the challenge so that people can enjoy it. I will use that to add value. And once I add value, definitely I'll make words.
So in your position is that the crayfish is very price friendly.
Price friendly.
Is readily available.
And the market is inexhaustible.
So you then decided that what has been the
limitations
is what you then focus your business on.
So when I focus my business on it, the process of capturing from the sea and sorting, processing it to final products.
So, again, not to ask you to reveal your trade secret, but just during the break, we watched a little bit of, you took the team through your value chain and the process. So do you want to speak to some of it, maybe that was not captured in the video, or some aspect of it that really separates your own crayfish now from the all other crayfish?
Yes, let me quickly do this, because of course, when it comes to crayfish business, let me say in Nigeria to some extent, let me arrogate that to myself that we are a brand to beat. Because one of the things we discover is that once we capture from the sea, this is the process. The crayfish contains a lot of impurities, a lot of dirt.
Why actually? Why?
It is because the sea comprises of so many components under the water, so that you don't know. So once you capture, it is now left for you because of our cultural background. We were able to know that over years, this is not good. This is not supposed to be edible. This is not supposed to be. And with technology, we were able to take some of this product for sample analysis, proximate analysis, and we discovered that this is not supposed to be. That is the area of the education, which I'll talk more about later. So after doing this, we started removing the shaft from the crayfish. The crayfish is clean and neater. So now, of course, we had the challenge when we got to the market. People were looking at it that it's so expensive. Why so expensive? But we now give them the benefit.
Now, when you say expensive, relative to maybe the one that they buy with shaft, that is 90% shaft and 10% crayfish.
So when people now started thinking it now boils down to the fact that no, this is the best. So as we are talking today, people hardly go to the open market to get crayfish when they know that we have a brand that is clean and that is environmental.
So in your case, what you are saying, and what I think I'm hearing you say, is that most times, and I do remember, I've gone to the market too quite a bit with my great granny. Will go into market, and when they're selling crayfish, they usually use this derica. Tomato derica tin to sell the crayfish, and when they take a scoop, the point you are saying is in your own case, I know you don't even use Derica, but let's assume even that you're using Derica. You're saying that what percentage would you say, what percentage of that scoop of Derica is crayfish?
The actual product you are
yes, and versus your versus the open market where it may be X percentage fish, X percentage shaft. So what do you want to say to that?
To me, it's 60-40. And it also depends on the season of the fishing.
So 60-40 what? So
60-40 is 60% impurities, shafts, and 40%.
So that's what happens in the open market.
In the open market.
But in your case, what's
It's 98%. It's 98%. And another thing about the beauty about the crayfish business is that the value chain in the crayfish business is very enormous, because the shaft that you consider not good in the open market, because of COVID, we took advantage of that shaft. We started giving it to people that are doing feed meal. And presently in Nigeria, it's one of the components that is used for feed meal, locally made, and is very rich in protein. I think the proteinous content is about 68%. While the normal foreign feed meal we are looking about, I think is about 72%, and why we have 68% in our crayfish shaft. So of course there are a lot of value chain in it, and there are business in business and the crayfish business. That's why we have actually chosen the crayfish business.
Well, time is not. This is the more time is going to allow us. Like I already said at the introduction, this is running over 2 episodes. So that's how much we can take today, this Thursday. So don't forget, join us again next week, Thursday, same time, same channel. And we would be continuing with Benedict. And at that point, we'll now be talking more about the agri-business. We'll be engaging more about the value chain, which he is already beginning to mention. We'll be talking about the value chain, talking about challenges. How do we overcome? How has he overcome some of the inherent challenges that, remember the opening clip that was spoken about? And we'll talk more about the business side of agri when next. So stay tuned, and till then, stay safe so you can keep well, and above all, keep winning. God bless you.